And shifting focus to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's global outreach. He is in Papua New Guinea as of now, and he will be departing. He will be leaving for Sydney in just a short while from now. To talk more on this, we have with us he's joining us live from New Delhi, is Harsh V. Pant, Vice President, Studies and Foreign Policy Observer Research Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us on WION, Mr. Pant. Right, now, Mr. Pant, for starters, how do you view India's global outreach at the moment, with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's jam-packed three-nation tour and a slew of engagements that he held in the past few days?
Well, it has been a very busy visit for Mr. Modi on a number of fronts, but perhaps the G7 meeting, where India was a special invitee, was important because it allowed Mr. Modi and India to synchronize India's G20 agenda with the G7 agenda, and also have a range of bilateral meetings, including with the Ukrainian president for the first time since the war started in Ukraine. So I think it has allowed India to present itself as a global interlocutor in this conflict. It has also allowed India to engage with a range of global leaders at the same time. And now in Papua New Guinea, India is now engaged in a wider regional outreach in a theater that is becoming center of geopolitical contestation. He will move on to Australia, which is a very important partner for India in the Indo-Pacific. So all in all, a visit that has touched upon a number of issue areas, a number of countries, and underscored India's growing role in global politics and international system at the moment.
Right, Mr. Pant, talking about Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Papua New Guinea, now with a special focus on the Indo-Pacific region. This is also the first time that an Indian Prime Minister has visited Papua New Guinea. Do you think that this is a latest attempt by New Delhi to counter China's checkbook diplomacy?
Well, in a certain sense, it is an attempt by India to present itself as a more credible partner in a region that is not willing to engage or become part of the US-China geopolitical contestation. So I think the fact that US President Joe Biden was supposed to be here, he could not be here in Papua New Guinea because of domestic problems, but the fact that India and the US were coordinating their actions in the region is a strong signal, I think, to a number of countries, including China, who are increasingly using economic coercion in South Pacific as they're doing in other parts of the world. So I think certainly with India putting in a commitment towards the region and making it clear that India wants to lead in partnership with the South Pacific Island nations, this is an attempt by India to showcase its own credentials as a reliable, credible partner. And we know that the topics that were discussed, including climate change and sustainable development, which South Pacific nations want to underscore as their primary areas of interest, they are what India is pushing forward. And we saw during the meeting, during the summit, both South Pacific Island nations and India talking about a partnership of equals. We saw how Papua New Guinea's leader talked about India taking the lead in developing a global South agenda. So I think all in all, India has been able to portray itself as a friend of South Pacific Island nations, and as a friend that is not simply interested in economic extraction, but is interested in partnership in a region that is increasingly contested, increasingly competitive, and increasingly being shaped by geopolitical rivalries.
Right, Mr. Pant, he will be leaving for Sydney in just a short while from now. We'll, of course, be tracking Modi's Sydney visit. But thank you so much for joining us on WION and sharing your insights with us at this hour.